I thought of making a small video about artificial intelligence, uh, scientific and engineering subject, which I have always been very much interested in. I used to always visit the School of Automation at the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore and attend many lectures on automation, though I was not a full-fledged student there. There's a specific need for artificial intelligence. I'd like to add one more statement here, or not just statement, an incident. Long back, I attended a conference on robotics, and the speaker asked a very nice question. What is a robot? And everyone had their own kinds of answers to that question, which were logically complex. And finally, the speaker said that a robot is nothing but a man like machine. Now, that's a very simple definition of a robot. Robotics as a science has developed a lot around the world. Many parts of the world are more advanced than us in robotic science. Maybe Japan, China, America, United States, who do active research in this area both at university level and also at a field level. The kind of robots that we have is something very astounding. And the possibilities and the capabilities of these robots are anything that the creator of these robots can comprehend and think within human and reasonable limits. Having said these things, ultimately, what is this word called artificial intelligence or AI, as we call it? For that, let us see what is the opposite of AI. When I say artificial intelligence, the opposite of artificial intelligence would definitely mean natural intelligence. One of my key activities today in this lecture is to demystify the subject so that anyone gets who's having a look at this lecture gets a less complicated view of what artificial intelligence is all about. What's the opposite of artificial? The opposite of natural intelligence. When I say natural intelligence, I am talking of the intelligence of human beings. What do we do with our intelligence? There's a nice question. What do we do with our intelligence? We make decisions, we make judgments, and we do some kind of processing, which everyone does to some level. Some people do it in a more complex way, or in a more profound way and slightly in-depth way. But by and large, everyone does these things in the normal routine and business of life. But when I use the word intelligence, I am using the words like decision, judgment, and thinking. The ability of thinking is to randomly correlate many independent entities and make sense of them, if at all, is the activity of thinking, which only we human beings have. That is also called neurotic activity in medical language or psychological language, neurotic activity. And the ability to think is what makes human beings a more superior species than animals. To think and confer, if you would like to use the word. Animals confer too, but they do not have a very sophisticated method of thinking mechanisms As I told you again, thinking is the ability to correlate various related or non-related entities and make sense of them, if at all. I'm trying to excavate and try to find some kind of relationship. This is what we call as knowledge, information and knowledge. Let us stick to artificial intelligence. Now, in artificial intelligence, I am using machines of various kinds to duplicate my activity of decision making and judgment. There is a word that runs parallel to all these words that's called as understanding. One of the biggest challenges of modern artificial intelligence is to build understanding into AI systems. At a very base level, there are many various kinds of artificial intelligence. Give me a very simple example. When I do Google search, I am definitely in the realm of artificial intelligence. If I'm searching for something, some name, then the internet gets to me almost quickly various kinds of domains in which this name is found, and it presents it to me through an activity called as pattern recognition. What the internet system does is to rush through all the files within the internet servers everywhere. Some of them are prioritized. If I keep on searching the internet for some words, for some kind of words, they get a priority over other things. That is one of the logics on which the internet system or the internet platform by itself works. It's designed to work like that. But the system does not understand what I am asking for. If you search for my name, Subhash, you will see many kinds of Subhash coming out. It is understanding. Subhash does the system has not the computer does not know that Mr. Subhash in India is searching for his profile. It shows many other things, Subhash Chandra Bose or another kind of Subhash. It shows me hundreds of Subhashes from which I have to look for mine. That is called as understanding. System does not understand. System just reacts using artificial intelligence activity called as pattern recognition. Now, again, that word is very important. One of the biggest challenges of artificial intelligence systems is to build understanding into it. Understanding means system should really understand. System works without understanding. Most computer platforms work without understanding. I have to build this understanding, which is a very difficult activity in the overall realm of artificial intelligence. Can I build understanding into the overall realm of artificial intelligence? That is definitely it needs more logic, more complex logical data mining, or more complex technological processes, which will take slightly more time, so that it so the system comes to a very higher level of it comes very close to natural intelligence, and it depicts to me exactly what I'm looking for. If Mr. P.O. Subhash were to sit in front of a laptop and ask and do a Google search for Subhash, the system, at least at the first level, should ask, are you searching for something which is pertaining to your name? It's almost like talking to another human being, because understanding exists within the system. Now, having said these things, my job today is to some extent or to a large extent, define certain words and realms that come under the activity of artificial intelligence, and I will leave you at that. And after going through what I've said, please try to evaluate, study, see, appreciate the overall domain of artificial intelligence. What would be one of the most basic? I'll give a situation of artificial intelligence. Suppose I have to design a door with artificial intelligence. Someone knocks at the door. The door must open only for a class of people whom the person staying within the staying indoors has programmed, and the door must not open for any other person. It must only ring a bell so the whoever is indoor can come and have a look at who is outside or standing at the door. Definitely an example of an artificial system, which could also be called as automation. What is the essence of this word automation? Automation means I am replacing human labor by machine labor to some extent, or to a large extent, or to a fuller extent, fullest extent. Um, Long back, I was listening to a lecture by someone from Tata Motors, who is an alumnus of Indian Institute of Science. He was showing how when a car is under collision, in some kind of collision, automatically certain kinds of devices open up from within the car to prevent the impact of the collision. Definitely an example of an AI system. It just occurred in my mind. But still, let us go back to our example of someone coming at the door. So I have got three activities in automation. First of all, why am I into this activity? So that I can replace human labor. There might be a lady, a sole lady inside the house, a housewife doing her work. She does not want to be distracted when someone comes to the door, so that the door opens, her son or daughter comes, the door must open all by itself. Obviously, that liberty must not be given to a stranger. So here I've got three systems in automation. I have got what is called as a sensory system. I've got a processing system, and I've got an actuating system. The sensory system has got a job to identify who is the person who has come in front of the door. Now, this is a big challenge to do. This is a big challenge in artificial intelligence, as I told you, because the system by itself does not understand the words like son, daughter, or whatever it is. I have to build I have built certain programs into sensory systems so that I can identify the person concerned. I might use biometric system where someone puts his fingerprint, or I can use some code given to the person who is coming to my house, who knows that code, who operates that code to see that the door gets opened. But I've got a full logical complexity and difficulty right in front of me. How I can create a sensory system which can exactly identify someone. We have got words like facial recognition software or image recognition today in a in a modern day AI domain, which could scan your face and compare it with certain things which are stored within the system. If it matches, then the door gets open. But there's an issue there. I've got something called sensory system. I can have simple sensory systems to very complex sensory systems. The most complex sensory system would be picture recognition or image recognition, or also I use something called as voice recognition. Definitely, an easier way to implement thing would be voice recognition, because voice and its dynamics are unique. But I have got three systems. I've got sensory, I've got processing. Processing means I have got a computer device that compares who has come outside with my existing database, And I've got two options here, either reject or accept. If I accept, I go and give a signal to the actuating system, which opens the door for a specific period of time to let whoever is at the door inside the house. This is an example, simple example of automation, and automation is definitely a component of artificial intelligence. Why I started with this word called automation is because it is the earliest form of artificial intelligence which mankind thought about and developed. More so, electrical engineers of the past, even long before systems like computer engineering or electronics had evolved, I definitely had some kind of automation systems which were used from region to region, at least in the developed parts of the world, for certain specific purposes. I would like to add one factor here. Wherever the population of a country is less, I have a need for automation. The most exciting part of automation would be industrial automation, where you see various kinds of arms. It cannot be called robotic arms because a robot is defined as a man like machine. It must work and it must span boundaries. Of course, I've got automation, that automation, industrial automation, which is something marvelous, not marvelous, astounding, and worthy of great appreciation for the pinpoint precision in which these systems were. In the absence of industrial automation, industrial manufacturing as we see today around the world may not happen at all. It is nice to see various kinds of modern day assembly plants, many kinds of manufacturing setups where I have various kinds of industrial automation. What I told just previously was home automation. I'm opening a door for someone is home automation. But I've got various kinds of industrial automation. Spot welding, many places inside the car manufacturing activity is done by, okay, you can use the word industrial robots or through the process of automation. It makes manufacturing very fast and improves the efficiency of the production line. You cannot imagine a production line in the absence of such kind of a system. Though in the more populous countries of the world, all these activities are undertaken by manpower, human beings. It might sometimes be more economical to use human beings on these jobs, but definitely less efficient and more time consuming. Now, after the word called automation, I have to add one more word in automation is computer numerical CNC machines, computer numerical control machines. Definitely an example of automation. Where I various activities, standardized activities within some industrial setups are handled by artificial intelligence systems. I once saw a PCB drilling station inside the Indian telephone industries in Bangalore, where I used to be a trainee. A marvelous machine which is busy punching holes into a printed circuit board (PCB) using automation techniques. Now, well, I've used certain words like this. I use the word called automation. Now, let us come slightly ahead to a more complex kind of a mechanism. What would that be? After automation, what would be the next most complex thing in the area called artificial intelligence? If you asked me, it would definitely be perception systems, followed by robotics. Robotics could be seen as an ultimate. Yes, I have got in robotics also a word called neural networks. Neural networks are a special class of artificial intelligence systems which largely model the human brain and how it works. And I am literally trying to create the human nervous system using artificial intelligence techniques. Now, that is also a component or a part of neural networks. If you were to ask me, come from bottom upwards, what is more important to maybe the less, maybe to the less, I won't say important, less technically complex, maybe. I would have neural networks, then I would have robotics, then I would have perception systems, and above that, I can have what is called as the automation, as we discussed it so far. Now, what are perception systems? Perception systems are used at various places. An air conditioning is equipment switches off automatically when the temperature is at certain level and re-switches on again. That is a simple, very simple artificial intelligence device. It cannot be called as a perception system, but a simple decision-making system, which is the most elementary form of artificial intelligence. Then what is perception system? Perception. Now, in the word called perception, I've got something called as reality. The computer system must be able to understand the reality of the situation and act to it. Is an activity of perception system. Now, I don't know if how to really communicate this to you. Sometimes fighter jets use some kind of perception system. It's not perception. It has got an yeah. It has got something called as an image recognition system. Uh, if I feed a target into the computer system of a fighter jet, maybe any complex thing like a hill, complex thing like a hill. I'm trying to locate a hill. The fighter pilot who is in the cockpit is trying to locate a hill in some, or it might be a drone which is trying to locate a kind of hill. I only have the photograph of the hill. In some technically, what we call technically refined form. And if I feed it into into the system, and as I fly the plane over a large territory, the system must be able, in case I go above that hill or that kind of a pasture or that kind of a terrain, the system must immediately warn me or tell me that what you're looking for is it's at such a location. Though it may not be a typical perception system, I'm almost having some kind of an eye which is scanning the entire environment. To a large extent, the computer system is doing exactly what a human being would do. When I see 10 pictures and say some picture that you are looking for, I'm comparing them and making, and if I see something which is similar, I I intimate or I send an information saying that I have found something like this. In this, of course, it comes under perception, though it's not perfectly accurate to classify them under perfect perception systems, but you can use them. I've got some word in artificial intelligence called as perceptron. Perceptron's job is to perceive. Perceive means I am trying to understand some reality. It is not just information. I'm trying to understand some reality of some given situation. Now, that I would definitely say is one of the next level of a complex kind of an artificial intelligence system. Then let us go to the next level of what we call as robots. I've got various kinds of robots. There are multifunctional robots and few functional robots. A multifunctional robot, I have created animals. in various parts of the world which are not animals, biological animals per se, but they are robots. But they understand, they operate and work exactly like some animals do. Fantastic. Under perception systems, you can also use, if you want, speech recognition systems. Now, taking an area like robots, certain robots can be trained for certain limited functions, and certain robots are used for many multiple functions. Multiple functions could mean even in the activity of certain complex activity that the human beings undertake could be handled by robots. Give me a simple example. I've got 20 dirty clothes to be washed in a washing machine. The ideal thing would be to tell the robot, please get these 20 things washed. I've got a speech recognition which the system really understands what is expected of me. That means the robot literally lifts using its arm 20 of these dirty clothes. Obviously, you need this is where I call it understanding. The robot will find it difficult to understand which is dirty and which is not dirty. But assuming I keep them somewhere somewhere in a specific place, the robot could definitely pick it up and put it into the washing machine, switch on the machine, wait till the whole clothes are washed, and automatically switch off and not automatically switch off the machine, which the robot does by itself, and then it comes back to its original place. I have got some work that human beings do, which is of a slightly of a complex nature, which a robotic system does. This is a very elementary aspect of what modern day robots can do. The entire area of robotics, I think the Japanese and the Chinese, maybe, but the Americans are quite advanced in the kinds of robots they make. Um, in India, during the COVID crisis, in certain hospitals in Kerala, I was told they use robots to distribute medicines and waters to patients, not just in one floor, in many floors. And the robot goes to the lift, gets in the lift, goes to the specific floor, goes from room to room, and then gives what it should be given for a specific period of time, and returning back to its original station. That means even in a country like India, we have become quite developed in the way we understand and have the potential to use robots, or in the overall area of robotics. Now, the final thing what I would like to discuss here is neural networks. As I told you at the beginning, neural networks, robotics can be built using the concept of neural networks. To a large extent, it is built like that. The understanding component, as I discussed in the earlier part of this lecture, what I was doing, the understanding component is very high in a neural network, or it is much higher than other forms of artificial intelligence, because I'm literally trying to duplicate the nervous system, the human nervous system, which is a very important information carrier through the human body. Oh, see, if you see a typical biological diagram of a neuron, which is the building block of the human nervous system, you can see various kinds of, I don't know exactly what they are, dendrites and that and this. I've got a connector mechanism that goes to the brain. That means a neural network needs a brain, a central processing unit, which processes various kinds of inputs that are given into it. Now, suppose a robot run by a neural network technology. As I told you, it has a high degree of understanding. If it were to touch a person, or some person were to touch it, the robot would definitely respond taking the name of that person, because some of the front end feeler devices which such artificial systems use are programmed to understand certain aspects or part of individuals. So this is what the concept of neural networks is. Well, I think I've done some justice to the area called artificial intelligence. I hope, because I used to very actively take an interest in the subject. I thought to use one more word called expert system. Expert systems is that it's a mistake. It's an what's an expert system? I would just say very quickly. Expert system is an artificial system that replaces a human expert. I can have an expert system which acts like a doctor. I feed the symptoms of a disease into the expert system, and the expert system goes through the symptoms of the disease and gives me certain medicines front end, which I could try without meeting a doctor. Expert system means I try to replace a human expert. Such systems need not be robotics. Need not use the robotics platform where we have got man-like machines. The understanding of the systems could be very the understanding factor might be less. It definitely comes on the overall classification of automation, as we discussed to start with. Continue to take interest in the subjects around the world. I think we know we need more sophisticated AI platforms in the world that we live in today, because there's scope to develop many things. At the end of the day, artificial intelligence improves the efficiency and the responsiveness of various aspects and systems that we use around the world to make living a more enjoyable and pleasant experience. Thank you very much for this. Is P. O. Subhash from Bangalore, India.